Have you ever had that feeling, where you have this expert skill just locked inside your head, but getting it into your students' heads feels, well, impossible? You're definitely not alone. Today, we're going to unlock one of the most powerful teaching strategies out there, instructional modeling. It's all about turning your expert thinking into a crystal clear, learnable process. Let's dive in. I mean, think about it. This is the question, isn't it? It's one thing to teach a fact, like a date in history. But how do you teach someone to actually write a compelling analysis or solve a really tricky problem? How do you teach the thinking behind the answer? That's the real challenge we're tackling here.
And this quote just nails it. This is the whole game. See, your expertise becomes automatic over time, but for a novice, it's a complete black box. Our mission with modeling is to crack open that box, show them all the wires, and make your internal monologue an explicit step-by-step guide they can actually follow.
So here's our roadmap for today. We'll start with the why, the goal of making your expertise visible. Then we'll walk through those 3 classic phases: I do, we do, and you do. And finally, we'll talk about how to make sure all this amazing new learning actually sticks.
Okay, let's lay the groundwork. This is so much more than just showing students a finished, polished example. It's about a deliberate, carefully planned process to reveal the messy, complex thinking that creates that awesome example in the first place. So when we talk about planning for modeling, we're not just talking about planning an activity. No, it's a whole strategy. Part 1, you make your expert thinking visible. Part 2, you support your students while they practice. And Part 3, and this is absolutely crucial, you have a deliberate plan to take that support away so they can become truly independent.
And that's maybe the biggest takeaway of all. You just can't wing this. The most effective modeling, the kind that looks effortless to your students, is actually built on a rock-solid foundation of careful planning and prep. It's a conscious, structured approach.
All right, let's get into the nitty-gritty. First up is Phase 1, the I do. This is your moment. You are on center stage, the expert in the spotlight, ready to give a masterclass in your thinking process.
But this performance is anything but improvised. You start by identifying the exact process you're teaching. Then you model the entire thing from start to finish while narrating your thoughts out loud. You give each step a clear name and, this is so good, you intentionally point out a common mistake. You might say, okay, right here, a lot of people are tempted to do this, but that's a trap because that right there, that is making your expertise visible.
And this works for everything, in any subject. So what are the core processes in your classroom? Is it how to plan an exam response, how to structure a perfect paragraph, maybe it's debugging a line of code or analyzing a primary source? All of these are perfect candidates for the I do phase.
So you've put on your masterclass. Fantastic. Now, it's time to build a bridge so your students can get from just watching you to actually doing it themselves. This is the we do phase. And the building materials for our bridge are called scaffolds.
Think of scaffolds like training wheels. They are temporary supports that are meant to come off later. It could be a simple checklist of the steps you just showed them, or maybe a partially completed example they have to finish. Even sentence starters can be a huge help. The whole point is to give them just enough support to let them taste success.
And this is exactly why those scaffolds are so critical. With them, students get to do productive, guided practice. Their confidence grows. Without them, you risk tossing them into what becomes a frustrating struggle where they can end up just practicing their mistakes. Scaffolding is what makes practice powerful.
And that brings us to our final destination, the you do phase. This is it. This is where the student starts to walk on their own 2 feet. The whole goal of this entire journey is their autonomy, their independence. But here's the catch, and it's a big one. The actual transition into the you do phase, the part where you take the scaffold away, is so often the most forgotten step in this whole process. It's like we build this amazing support structure and then we forget to plan for its demolition. This is the question you have to be asking yourself back in the planning stage. It absolutely cannot be an afterthought. You need a clear, deliberate plan for when and how you're going to remove that support system and let your students fly solo.
And your plan really needs 3 parts. First, decide the exact moment when the scaffold disappears. Second, be super clear about the task they'll do right after. And third, know the signs you're looking for, the signals that tell you, yep, they're ready for this.
Let's think about the cognitive science here for a second. The you-do phase isn't just busy work. It's this crucial moment where students are forced to pull that process you modeled out of their long-term memory. And that act of retrieval, that's what burns the learning into their brain. It's incredibly powerful. And we're not quite done yet. The lesson isn't over just because the independent work is handed in. The final step is to close the loop, to review their work and use it to reinforce that original model one last time.
And there are some great ways to do this. You can use a visualizer to show-call a great piece of student work and put it up for everyone to see. Compare it side by side with your original model. Point out exactly where they nailed the steps. And hey, if you see a common error popping up again and again, that's your cue to quickly remodel that one tricky step for the whole class.
When you look at the whole journey, you see this really beautiful shift in roles, right? In the I-do phase, you're the expert demonstrator, and the student is an active observer. Then, in the we-do phase, you become a supportive guide. And finally, by the you-do phase, your role has changed again. You're a facilitator, observing an independent practitioner at work. So that brings us right back to the beginning, with one final, crucial question for you. Think about your own expertise, all that amazing stuff locked inside your head. What's one expert process you can make visible for your students tomorrow?